Welcome to the Pinning Combination Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside my colleague and wearer of many wrestling hats, Dick Briggs. Ready to talk a little wrestling coming out of the holiday break for college and girls wrestling. And then, of course, now the boys season starting competition this week. Briggsy, how was your Thanksgiving?
That was good. I had a little bit of a sinus thing, so my voice is a little raspy today. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. I'll I can always do the lion's share of the talking if need be. You know that's never a problem for me. So, uh, but yeah, had a fun holiday and ready for kind of being immersed in all levels of wrestling now with the boys finally catching up and starting competition. Let's talk about college. Obviously, more of a preview kind of thing at that level, since many of the programs were idle over the holiday break. Uh, First off, University of Iowa is getting ready to head to St. Charles, Missouri, for a double duel. Um, like with Journeyman. Um, they're having a special um event down there with Iowa and then Princeton and Army. Kind of interesting that they go to St. Charles to face two pretty much East Coast uh, teams. Kind of looking at the oh the name of this uh, kind of like the Clash of Duels or some uh, name that they've put to it, but um, the interesting thing I think about this, finding out yesterday, the first duel Iowa has ever had in Missouri.
Really?
That's my exact same thought. They've wrestled how many national tournaments at St. Louis and Kansas City. They've gone down to Lindenwood for years for open tournaments there. But whenever they've wrestled Missouri, it's been at Iowa or a neutral site. So this is their first duel in the state of Missouri, and it's going to be against Princeton and Army. It's kind of different.
That is crazy. I would have never ever guessed that. Huh.
No. So a couple items here. Army received votes in the latest NWCA poll. Iowa number 2. It has been. They're 4-0 coming in. Princeton unranked. Right now, Tigers are 2-2. Army 3-0, and obviously Kevin Ward's done a great job there. The I think the biggest question going into this is who's going to wrestle at 157. Ja'Cory Teamer having an injury to fall out of the Iowa State duel, which was their last competition. Asked Coach Brands at the weekly media availability yesterday, and his very vague response was, we're sending 19, 20 guys down there on the bus, and that was it. Um, you know, uh, certain the probable lineup just says TBA. That's the first time I think I've ever seen that where it wasn't kind of an either or. It just says TBA. Is that concerning, or is that just kind of playing coy and not trying to show your hand?
Well, as you were saying that, I was wondering if he's playing coy with the public, or he's not saying yet to his wrestlers, so he doesn't want to say it publicly without talking to his wrestlers, and maybe he's waiting for it until it gets closer. So that's what I'm kind of wondering, if that's the case.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that part too. Caleb Rachi He wrestled at Oregon State at 157. That didn't necessarily go real well. He's been at 57 in the past. I know Miguel Estrada is a young wrestler that I think people are interested to see. So, could see them. Could be somebody else. Both Victor and Kale Voinovich are in that 149, 157 area. Maybe we see, Victor move up, or his younger brother Kale, who was a state champ at Iowa City High last year, moving in from Oklahoma. Maybe we see him kind of dip his toe in the pool after we saw Angelo Ferrari do that against Iowa State.
Right. And so if Voinovich moves in and Arnold and Keeter wrestle, we could have 3 City High wrestlers, all basically freshmen in the lineup, possibly. So, well done, Coach Corey.
Yeah, Coach Connell there at City High. And just kind of looking at the probable lineup, of course, Iowa 4-0 all-time versus Princeton, 4-1 all-time versus Army. You've got see, this is a rare double duel where some of these either ors, it could be one person going out for one duel and then giving the other wrestler a chance. But they've got Joey Cruz and Cale Peterson both at 125. Drake Hayala at 133, of course. At 141, this was kind of interesting. You've got Ryder Block and Cullen Shriver. Those two both at 141. Then you've got Parkle at 49. The question mark at 57. Caliendo at 65. Brands and Kennedy both at 174. Of course, Kennedy coming off that nice technical fall against Iowa State. Then you've got Arnold, Buchanan, and Keeter rounding out the probable lineups there. Sounds like there are more bodies that'll be going down as well. So you might see somebody get the nod late, but looks two duels that Iowa should win pretty handily, regardless of who's out there.
Right, and on a lot of those races that are question marks, they may throw one person out for one meet and another person out for the second meet. So,
right. Also, one thing to keep an eye on, assuming Iowa wins both, that'll be Tom Brands' 300th career dual victory as a college head coach. That does include his time at Virginia Tech as well. So kind of a milestone there. Of course, asked him about that as well on Tuesday. And, he really, you could tell he really couldn't care less about that kind of thing. But, it really puts him in pretty select company as far as dual ones goes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with that response. That's when you're in the heat of the battle. That's not even anything you ever think about. And maybe after he's retired and sitting in his easy chair, he might go, "Oh yeah, okay, hey, you did that. That's pretty cool." But it's not in his DNA. So,
yeah,
a lot of coaches are like that too.
And I'm sure that really the only wins he really worries about those come in March, right?
Right. I mean, obviously he wants to win every time they're on the mat. That's definitely in his DNA. But that's no question. Those are the big ones. The Big Ten and the national tournament.
And of course, after Friday, they're off until the Soldier Salute, and at the end of the month at Extreme Arena in Coralville. So they'll have a nice break after this double duel on Friday. You can see that it's on UFC Fight Pass streaming service. Be interesting to see really kind of the effect of the college wrestling's relationship with UFC and how many more fans that kind of draws in as well. UNI Missouri, I believe, was on UFC Fight Pass as well. Before the Thanksgiving break, and here we have another event with Iowa on that. So the hope is kind of drawing some of those other mixed martial art combat sport fans into kind of college wrestling that aren't already kind of focused on that, but we'll see.
Right. For me, it's frustrating because there's so many different outlets that you have to subscribe to. For the Iowa State media, I don't even remember what it was. And then
that was Big 10 Plus.
Big 10 Plus, right? And at least they did a one-time fee there, so that was nice.
And then you've got Flow Wrestling, UFC Fight Pass. I can see where that's kind of a pain in the backside.
Pain in the wall.
Yeah, right. Well, let's move on really quickly. UNI's coming off their big two dual wins, so they're off to a great start, at least dual wise. Iowa State, they've been banged up. They've got news that Connor Uten, who got hurt. We talked about Teamer for Iowa. Connor Uten for Iowa State got hurt in his match against Mikey Caliendo in the Cyhawk Series duel. Iowa State announced yesterday that he's out for the season at 165. Of course, they've got some other strong pieces with MJ Gaitan, but Iowa State and UNI heading to the Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational. So a good test for them here to start December coming out of the holiday break.
Right. The Cliff Keen Invitational is probably the toughest tournament pre-Christmas, at least off the top of my head that I can think of. That's very deep, and teams come from all over the place. And so that's a great test to see where you're at. If you can win or place high in that, it's a good statement for the rest of the season.
It's kind of talking with some Gazette colleagues on Monday, and somebody mentioned, do they wrestle as many duels as they have in the past? And I'm like, yeah, they think duel wise they do, but tournaments, I don't think you really see the same amount. You don't have as many competitions like this as you once did. The days of a Barry Davis going 40 or Tom Brand's going 44-0, or seeing guys having 35 matches in a season, that's long gone. And a lot of the reason why is because they're not wrestling multiple matches in a tournament format anymore, or as much.
Right.
Am I wrong on that?
No, I think you're correct. And a lot of the teams, when there are tournaments, aren't sending their maybe their number one lineups in, like at the Midlands or at the Soldier Salute just really hasn't got a strong toehold yet. I haven't seen field teams that are field, but it's just they're not that deep, so you don't get as many matches, and you're not as credible the tournaments, I guess. What's the Southern Scuffle? Is that, there's another one that gets a little bit of more attention, but even still. So I think you're right, KJ.
Here's kind of a testament to how tough the Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational is. It kicks off Friday at the Las Vegas Convention Center. According to our friend Jason Bryant, who was on the last episode with us, does a ton of work with the NWCA. Last year's tournament in Las Vegas, 30 place winners were all Americans by the end of the year, including 4 individual NCAA champions.
Wow.
So that's, you're looking, obviously it's not just 3 all the way across the board, but, that averages out to 3 wrestlers, 3 All-Americans per weight class across the board that are in the field. out there. So great test. And it's one of those multi-day weigh-ins, right? That you can kind of get a feel for a routine. When you have that come conference tournament time and the NCAAs.
Right, and Penn State does not attend that. They're not there this year, are they?
Mm-mm.
No, and they're usually not. And so Penn State. So if you're saying 3 to every weight, and nearly half of the champions, Penn State has the other half.
That's right. That's right.
So,
well, let's take a look. What's coming up for the D3 schools here this weekend as they kind of get into a little bit of a stretch before in between the holidays here.
right. So the competition's kind of going, and then a little bit. So on Thursday, Co is out over at BV. How long of a drive is that from here?
It's a lot quicker than when I was in school, because now Highway 20 goes all the way across. That makes me feel old, saying that when I went to school there were roads that weren't actually built at the time. At that time, Highway 20 had a big gap in it. You had to go up and around Applington and through Parkersburg, maybe Iowa Falls, to get to the other side of Highway 20. But it's probably about 3.5 hours, maybe.
Okay, Jay, I remember that. I used to go south. I think to Steamboat Rock, was it, or somewhere down there?
Okay.
There. So until they built that bridge, you're right. That was added another hour, maybe. I don't know.
I used to drive 30 across to Highway 71, and now 30 is about 4-lane. I used to drive it when it was 2-lane, and you could pull off at LeGrand, just pull off the highway into a Casey's, and then pull right back onto the highway again. That tells you how long ago that's been.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Cornell's Russell Saturday at the MSOE Invitational. Loris Russell's Augsburg on the 5th. That's tomorrow, isn't it? So you can tune in. You can always go online and watch these for free. Watch these Division III meets, and there's some great competition. I do it regularly and love watching it. Luther is at Wartburg. That's on Friday, and then UD is at Nebraska Wesleyan on Saturday. So, and Upper Iowa will be wrestling at the Quincy University. So
okay. That's I think Upper Iowa's move to the Great Lakes Valley Conference has been positive on all fronts. And I think travel, especially during this season, will I think that's also a positive when you're not heading north a lot of the time.
Agreed. And is it Northern State that's clear over in Western North Dakota or something?
Yeah, I think so.
That had to be a really not very fun trip.
For sure. Any other items or notes from the college level?
Not that I'm aware of. It's nice to have that little break for the wrestlers and so they can lick their wounds. And I know there's some wounds that can't be licked that need to be probably going to be off until January that we were talking about. But both Iowa and Iowa State with their injuries, they're pretty deep at those weights. So you won't see too much of a dip, I don't think.
Right. Well, let's shift gears. The girls' season has been a couple weeks in now. Some of the regular teams that you're familiar with, they're off to good starts. Mount Vernon, a really good start. I think they won 2 duels against Decorah and Independence here last night. Decorah's, one of the top teams now in 1A. they're doing well. Cedar Falls off to a great start. They were absolutely dominant at the Decor Invitational before the Thanksgiving break, but some of those regular powers in girls wrestling off to a really good start here in the high school season as well.
Right, and those teams that you mentioned have been traditionally pretty strong teams, and so their programs have started earlier than before the union took control of wrestling. They had great teams and programs going then, so it's just a carryover. Cedar Falls has just been really dominant the last couple of years. Got to wrestle. I got to ref some of their meets up at the Animals Invitational. That's a big tournament they do in January, and then we called their meet last year against Prairie, and it was a real good meet. So Cedar Falls is very strong for sure.
Allie Gerbrock leading the program up there. And, of course, she was one of those wrestlers that won that first Iowa the Coaches and Officials Association state titles up at Waverly Shell Rock when that first started getting going as well. Chloe Clemens, who was at Jefferson and won an Iowa IWCOA state title when it first happened. She's in the coaching ranks at Center Point Urbana. So that's kind of a neat deal. Seeing the athletes that were a part of that first IWCOA tournament at Waverly Shell Rock now leading programs and kind of furthering the cause, coaching and leading the next generation of wrestlers.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know Chloe was up there. That's nice to hear that. So there's a young gal, early to mid 20s there that is going to be there probably for a while. And what I like about that is if you have a strong girls program, I think that encourages the boys to try and keep up and outdo them. And it's just a competitive thing. It's like an unspoken thing. You don't say that out loud, but it's there. It's just like in the wrestling room when you have guys that are competing for a varsity spot at the same weight. It just makes yourself tougher and your team tougher. So I like that.
Keep kind of goes along with the old saying, right? The high tide raises all boats, right?
Right. Yeah. I like that.
CPU wrestled at Tipton on Monday. Had a good showing down there as well. So some good things happening on that front. The boys are in. And one thing I'll mention too, Riley Cole, our writer. We don't really have beats anymore, but she's kind of our girls wrestling beat writer. To use an old term, you can check out her content at thegazette.com. She's been out to a couple duels and has a couple features, on the Gazette website. So make sure you check out Riley Cole, who I believe will be at the Donnybrook. Might be announcing at the Dan Gable Donnybrook in Coralville at the end of this week, but I'm sure she'll have something from the competition there in Coralville, Iowa City, in that area. With the boys, they're getting fired up for this week. We've seen some duels already, but we've got some really talented individuals and teams in Eastern Iowa. You can go to thegazette.com as well to see our season previews, teams and wrestlers to watch for the boys season. There's a feature there. Brad Smith at the age of 70 coming out to kind of be a Band-Aid while Clear Creek Amana head coach Kyle Fornes is fulfilling obligations in the Army Reserves. He's going to miss this season. So Brad Smith comes out of his second retirement to help upstart program kind of keep moving forward. So back in the saddle again for Brad Smith at the age of 70.
Yeah, Smitty, let's be honest, he is coming out to tack on additional wins that is with his Iowa leading. I'm just kidding, Smitty.
Yeah.
A great coach and is a leader in dual wins, I think, in the state of Iowa. But truthfully, he's stepping into a very strong program. CCA is in great shape, and he'll have a lot of fun working with the kids down there, and I think they'll enjoy having him in there. And I'm guessing he's not doing, getting in and wrestling with the guys anymore.
But he is showing. First, I'll say, we've talked about this on our own, but Brad Smith is a part of a group of wrestling guys that'll meet once a month for like lunch and talk about things. I got a kick out of it when I asked him what they thought when he said, "Hey, I'm going to do this." They're like, "Are you nuts?" Just kind of giving him a hard time and stuff, but they were super supportive. Here's one thing I thought was interesting with Coach Smith. Cale Nash, one of the two returning state medalists, one of 7 state qualifiers that are back for Clear Creek Amana, who sent 11 to state last year and made the regional duels. But Cale Nash, he's a three-time state qualifier, 2-time WOMAC champion. He admitted, sometimes I'm a little stubborn and I think I know it all. And it took like 1 or 2 times with Brad Smith showing, he's got so much knowledge. And he was like, he's showing me these things and very detail oriented. And he's like, just kind of blew my mind. Here I thought I knew everything. I go to big game. I learned from these really good club coaches and coaches in the room. And here he's breaking things down to the very small details and teaching me new things, whether it's, how to control a wrist or how to get out of a Russian tie or use a Russian tie. And those very intricate things that he's sharing with kids at Cale Nash. It's like, I'm already, it's already making me a better wrestler having him in the room. I thought was pretty interesting, kind of cool.
Well, that's a huge compliment to Coach Smith, but that's the truth. It's, on a lot of fronts. Typically, when you get to be a senior, you think you know it all, whether it's a senior in high school or a senior in college, you're like, you can't teach me anymore. I know it all. It's that sort of attitude. You don't really say it out loud, but you kind of take that sort of attitude. And so in wrestling is you break it down into those little tiny things you're talking about, little pressures here and little reactions here. And if you change the direction just ever so much, it's the difference between being successful with the move and not. And I'm not surprised at all to hear that Smitty's able to do that. But I'm really pleased to hear that Nash is opening up to that.
Yep. So
that's cool. Good for him. Nash is and like I said, the team, they're going to be fortunate to have Smith in there for this year.
We mentioned Nash, one of 2 medalists. Nolan Howell, the other medalist for Clear Creek Amana. It sounds like they're battling a little injury bug here early on, but I'm sure by the end of the season, they're going to be a team to contend with, and certainly, a team that could be in the regional duels again. As far as the Gazette area goes, a couple other 3A teams to kind of keep an eye on. Iowa City West, they return 44 points from last year's state tournament. They've got 2-time finalist, the state champion Alexander Pierce, who has committed to the University of Virginia. He's back leading the way. Justin Avila, 2-time medalist as well. Matthew Tran, Campbell Janis, Charlie Barnhouse, also really those are state qualifiers back, and they've added a state champ from Montana, Cole Crutchfeld, to the mix too. So that's a team. When you have 7 guys like that that can score bonus points, that's going to help you in duels, and you also have guys in tournaments that can put up a lot of points by placing high with 3 or 4 guys like that. So should be a pretty strong season for Iowa City West. And then Linn-Mar, the post Doug Stryker era starts out. You've got co-head coaches in Ryan Gatto and Bo Westfall. They return some talented kids in Malik DeBow, Barrett Maris, Hudson Turner, Noah Hawk Irwin as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I know Doug Stryker's still involved, just not as head coach. He's still around the program and helping out. I don't think there'll be much of a drop off for the Lions.
Well, Linn-Mar lost in the last couple of years a huge amount of very talented wrestlers, but so we'll see new faces for sure, or some faces are going to need to step up to that next level
for sure.
But that room is deep, and there's lots of bodies in there for sure, and they'll be able to field a real good team.
And I think we're in agreement that Southeast Polk kind of the team to chase in 3A overall.
Oh my gosh, they have 9 state medalists back returning, including 2 champs, 2 runners up, and a third. Oh my gosh, they're just loaded. I don't see anyone. They may be the best team in the state at any level, and maybe break records this year. And there's some other good teams. Bettendorf's in there. They've got a state champ that TJ Koister, is it? Keister that beat Colfax Christensen last year in the finals, and then Jake Knight, who got beat in the finals in a close match, and then Lincoln Jip, of course, was third, and Braden Keister as well. So they're talented. Fort Dodge has 2 returning state champs, and Coy Davidson, who beat Carter Freeman, another great wrestler, and then maybe the best wrestler in the state, Deshaun Ross.
Yeah.
Looking for his 4th this year, I think, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think he's a junior, actually.
Okay, but he's still in line to be a 4-timer, and I can remember he's a senior. So,
in Class 2A, you've got some really good teams here in Eastern Iowa in our area. Anamosa finished 10th last year. They've got some key guys back, including state champion Austin Scranton, and 3rd place finisher Hudson Scranton for the Blue Raiders. Let's see how they follow up. West Delaware, we talked about a change in from the old guard to the new guard, and we see that at West Delaware. They finished 17th last year, and of course they were in the state duels again. But now Jake Voss takes over for his dad, Jeff Voss, who's led that program for decades. He's got Brent Yankovic, who was 3rd last year, 2-time medalist. Jackson Miller kind of leading the way for them. But really, I think 2 teams that'll be battling it out, maybe with Osage as well, but Mount Vernon and Union Community. Those 2 teams, I think Mount Vernon returns like 66 points from last year's state tournament. Union, 70 of their 95 points are back, including 2-time state champions Jace Hedeman and Braden Bonesack. So those 2 teams, I think right now, kind of the front runners in Class 2A.
Right, I give Osage dropped. They graduated a ton of guys last year, just a ton. They do have state champion Blake Fox back and a couple other state qualifiers, but that's it. Mount Vernon, like you mentioned, Jace Jasper's back, Mikey Ryan, Ethan Woods were all state medalists. And then Union has 4 state medalists. So I have to give the nod, as you said, point-wise, to Union right now. But it's going to be fun. I think this is the wide open class between 1, 2, and 3A. This is the one we got to keep our eye on because it's going to be fun to watch throughout the season.
You mentioned 1A and kind of the same cast of characters, I think, from a year ago. You've got Don Bosco, you've got Alburnett, and Wilton, kind of the front runners in Class 1A. Of course, the Pirates, they were second to Don Bosco last year, both the traditional tournament and the state duels. They're just absolutely stacked. They've got 10 qualifiers back, 7 state medalists, and 137 of their 152 points back from a year ago, including Rowdy Neighbor, Klostermans. But it's going to be fun seeing the battle between them, Don Bosco, and, of course, Wilton there as well.
Agreed. And I don't know, Don Bosco lost a state champ, a third and a fourth. So, that may bring them back, but they also have at least one new familiar name to the team in Hendricks Schwab will be joining that. So you got to figure he's going to fit in there somewhere and he'll do very well. And I thought I heard someone else had maybe moved in or not. And I shouldn't say anything, but I thought I had heard that, maybe not. But, and I guess, I don't know, do you move into Don Bosco district or could you just join it?
You probably don't have to. You just drive there.
Right. And so Alburnett and Wilton are really very even right now, and they're both right in there. So this is going to be fun to watch in another respect because you got 3 really solid teams at this level. And like you said, Alburnett 7 state medalists. Wilton has 6 state medalists. They each have a state champ coming back. And so it's going to be fun to watch that, and especially since it's in our area.
Also want to make mention, last year was a breakthrough season for Jessup. That was a team that finished 5th in the state duels, their best finish ever. Don Bosco won it all, and I believe, there are some really highly contested matches in that Jessup Don Bosco duel in the quarterfinal round. So, they competed against Don Bosco as well as anybody last year, got 5th. They ended up finishing 4th in the traditional tournament behind those 3 teams that we talked about. Of course, they've got 6 returning state qualifiers overall. Aiden Bergman and Cooper Hintz, they lead the way there, both 2-time state medalists. Bergman was 3rd at 106 last year. Hintz 5th at 113 a year ago, and they both have jumped up a weight. So Jessup is going to be a team. I think they're going to just kind of grab the baton and keep moving forward in that program as well.
Agreed. And I'll just also throw in from Starmont, Keaton Moeller last year, whom I got to ref. He's a solid kid, state champion. So at 150 last year.
Actually, Moeller suffered an ACL tear, and he's opting to he's going to take this season off. Coach just found that out this last week from Coach Munger that he's going to take the year off to heal from that surgery from the off season. So just found out that this week that Keaton Moeller won't have a chance to defend his title.
Oh, that's disappointing. He's just champion as a sophomore, going to sit out as a junior. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Very good wrestler. Well, let me mention this. Last night, this was a cool thing. Last night I refereed down at Washington, Iowa. They had they had a trophy that it's the 4 schools that have kids from the Washington County that were there. So it was Highland,
really?
Waco, Mid Prairie, and Washington, and they wrestled duels with each other. And then they had this. Now it's going to be a traveling trophy that goes to whoever won it. And last night the Washington Waco meet went 42-42 and went down to criteria, and Washington ended up winning that on criteria. But it was a good meet, and there were some real good wrestlers from all 4 teams. So that was a really fun thing. So they also had the girls. They didn't quite do duels because they didn't have enough girls to do duels, but they had some girls wrestling in junior varsity. It was a good night of wrestling.
Awesome. Sounds fun. Thursday, we'll be in Epworth for a boy-girl doubleheader there with Cedar Rapids Xavier and Western Dubuque. That should be a fun one up there with the Saints and Bobcats. This weekend, big weekend to get things going, especially on the boys' side. You've got the Independence Invitational 2-day tournament there. We mentioned the Dan Gabriel Donnybrook big one. Both of those tournaments have out-of-state teams that come in, big fields there. You've got the Keith Young Invitational as well. West Delaware has its Bob Murphy tournament. Also on Saturday, just a great way to kick things off as usual this time of year. Where will you be on Saturday? Will you be doing some officiating anywhere this weekend?
Yeah, let me see. I'm at I'm so booked I gotta look. I can't. I'm at the Wapello Invitational.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of teams down there, but I don't pay attention when I'm roughing.
I know we'll have someone staffed to Donnybrook, and of course I'll be at the Independence Cliff Keen tournament up there. One of my favorites to cover. CCA, Prairie, Albernet, Osage, a lot of really good teams up there at Independence. So great way to kick off the first weekend of competition.
Right? And don't they throw one or two mats on the stage in the auditorium?
Yep. They have a couple mats on the stage, at least one, maybe two up there, and kind of a neat deal to be able to watch wrestling from an auditorium like that.
Right, and nice, very comfortable seats.
Yeah, for sure. All right, any parting shots? I know we went a little over what we were expecting, but any final thoughts, any final words before we close things up for this week?
I'm excited to get it kicking off for the boys.
All right, so now we'll have all levels, men's, women's, boys and girls wrestling going on at the same time. So a fun couple months ahead for all of us and for wrestling fans. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning back in to watch, and hope everybody had a great holiday. Coach Briggs, as normal, in honor of our late friend Wyatt Schultz, why don't you take us out?
Let's keep wrestling on the move.